Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here then welcome. My name is Heather, and on this channel we like to walk a very fine line between a shopping addicted makeup monster and a responsible adult with a makeup hobby. Now I really enjoy eyeshadow singles, duochromes, multichromes, blush, highlight, bronzer, eyeshadow palettes, and today we are going to be looking at my neutral palette collection. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, stick with me, we're getting into it right now. Now, as I've said in some of my other videos, this is not a declutter. This is mostly just a collection video. It's possible I'll declutter a few things here or there, but that's not my goal or my purpose for these videos. So probably not a ton is going to get decluttered, but I did want to show you guys everything that I have and take it from there. So we'll start with this little cutie on top. This is the Too Faced, what is this called? Pineapple something, Sparkling Pineapple eyeshadow palette. I really enjoy this palette. It's a cute, simple little palette. You've got like a duochrome in here. This really pretty ultra metallic shade in here is lovely. You've got some, really nice mattes in here. I'll definitely be keeping this one. I've got two of these Huda Beauty nude palettes. Now, some of these palettes are very hit and miss, but the nude series seems to be pretty good. I have the deep one, which I really like because it has sort of like the cranberry kind of smoky shades, and then I have the light one because it has some of those really, really soft shades. I really enjoy both of these, so I'm definitely going to be keeping both. I have the Manny MUA and Makeup Geek collab from like 1,000 years ago, arguably only 2016, but I really enjoy this palette, so I'm definitely going to hang on to it. And surprisingly, it's still in good condition, so we'll let that be as it is. I have one palette from Nars, which I bought a long time ago, and I do really like the color story for it, so I'm going to hang on to this. This is the, what is this called? Hot Nights palette, so hang on to that one. I have the Too Faced Gingerbread Spice palette, which has a lot of kind of cranberry red shades. It's a really pretty palette. I love this kind of olivey brown shade in here, so I'll be hanging on to that. And then while I'm at it, I can talk about my other Too Faced palettes. I have the Chocolate Bar palette, which looks like this. It still smells like chocolate, I'm amazed. And the Sweet Peach palette, which I had to fight tooth and nail to get, so I'll definitely be hanging on to both of those. I used to have the Semi-Sweet, like the one with the little hearts. I used to have that one. I decluttered that one a couple years ago, and I don't really feel too bad about it, so that one's no longer with me, but I do enjoy those other ones, so I'm going to keep those. I have a couple from Revolution Pro. This is the Truth or Dare palette. And then the Earth and Stone palette, which looks like that. Very, very beautiful duochromes in here. They're supposed to be dupes for the Pat McGrath palettes. I'm not sure that they're truly dupes, but I do think the formula is really, really nice in these palettes, so I've been slowly collecting all of them. I just placed an order with Beauty Bay to get the last two that I was missing today. I have the Nabla Side by Side palette. This is a really nice warm toned palette, but you do get some cool tones in here as well. I've really enjoyed playing with this one, and I love the metallics that they chose, so definitely will hang on to that. I have the Alter Ego Canyon palette, which is a dupe for the Natasha Denona Bronze palette. I do really like this palette, actually. I think this is a really nice kind of bronzy toned palette. Let me turn my light down a little bit because I think it's blowing things out a little bit. There we go. So I think this is a really pretty kind of bronzy toned palette. I love the color story that they picked for this, or that Natasha Denona picked for this, and this Plateau shade I think is my absolute favorite in the whole palette, but very pretty color story. Definitely hang on to that one. I have, let's see, my palettes are kind of all over the place, but I have a couple from Urban Decay. So I have the Naked Honey, which was a gift from my mother for my birthday, so thank you, Madre. I really enjoy this one. This honey shade and the golden shade are my absolute favorites in this bunch. I love this palette. Will definitely be hanging on to it, which I didn't think I would like that palette as much as I do, but I really do. And then I have the Urban Decay original Naked palette before they did the reformulation, the repackaging. I really like this palette too. Definitely nice and soft. Beautiful colors though. This dark horse shade really gets me, so definitely will keep that one. And I love the old velvet packaging, even though it gets dirty as all heck. This is the Nubian by Juvia's. This is like one of the original palettes they ever put out. I don't think I really need to hang on to this palette anymore because I feel like I have so many other alternatives, so I'm gonna let this one go. And then I have this Nabla Secret palette. I picked this one up on one of the Ulta sales, so I got it for $17, which I really think was a great deal for this palette. I love this kind of like cool toned row that you have up here, and then you have more of a warm toned row here, and then you have this kind of green blue row here. I think you can do a lot with this palette. I love this iridescent duochrome type shade, so I will definitely be hanging on to that one. I have the Nomad Cosmetics America's Parks palette, which looks like this. This has some really great duochromes, like this olivey green to gold, this purple to brown. I think these colors are really pretty. I love the mattes that they chose. I love that they included this purple shade in here, so I'll definitely be hanging on to that. And then I have the Warrior by Juvia's, which I originally purchased because I didn't want to purchase the Honey palette, but then I ended up getting it as a gift. So I'm not sure that I necessarily need both. I'll probably hang on to this one for a while longer, but if I'm not still using it, then I will probably just go ahead and declutter this one. Then I have this Opalescent palette by BH Cosmetics, which was a gift from my aunt. And the reason she gifted it to me was kind of for this quad of colors down here, which I do think is very pretty, but I have some other colors in my collection that mimic that same color story, and I'd hate for an entire palette to go to waste, you know, just for me to keep it for 4 shades. So I think I'll let this palette go so that somebody else would be able to get some use out of it, but these colors are really, really pretty. Yeah, I think I'll just let somebody else get some use out of it, but I think the colors are really pretty and somebody is really going to enjoy that one. Alright, I have a couple of mini palettes here, so let's talk about them quick. I have some of these Smashbox. These are back when they did the camera lens kind of little trios, and I really enjoy all 3 of these. I have On Location, Tag Me, and Holy Crop. These are so cute, and the fact that they look like little camera lenses, I'll never get rid of these even if I don't use them anymore as eyeshadow, so these are definitely staying. And then I have this cute little peach palette that my aunt got me. She's a sweetheart. She's like my makeup fairy godmother. I got this from her and I absolutely love the shades. This hot coral in here is gorgeous. This pink is a little bit like bright for the rest of the palette, but these 2 shades in here look really, really pretty. I love this whole color story, so definitely going to hang on to that one. I have the Sweet Talk palette from Colourpop. This one's also really pretty. You do have 2 pressed glitters in here, which I don't love. I would love to pop those out and put something else in there, so maybe I'll do that at some point because I hate the pressed glitters from Colourpop, but I do love the rest of this color story, so I will keep this one. So, where was I? Let's talk about this one. Next is the Sulman eyeshadow palette. I have the highlighter palette as well, which you'll see in my face palette video. This one is very, very pretty. I really enjoy the shimmers in here, and this matte purple is really, really pretty. So I'm going to hang on to this. This one shade down here, though, is like quite the dud shade. I don't know what the deal is out there, if there's like a layer I have to scrape off or what, but I just cannot get that shade to work very well for me, so I don't know. But the rest of the shades are really nice, so I'm going to keep it. I have the Mulan Colourpop palette. This one is really pretty, and no eye safety warnings for this palette. I really enjoy it, kind of the cool tones that they have, and then the warm tones, and you've got some pops of red. Very, very pretty color story overall. Definitely keeping this, and I love the packaging. I have one little Pat McGrath 6-pan palette here, which looks like this, and it is the, what, Golden Opulence, I think? Golden Opulence is the name of the palette. I do think it's really pretty. I'll keep it because it's Pat McGrath, but it's not something that I turn to like every single day, so I'm not sure that I needed to spend all the money on that, but I did get it on sale. The Milani Bold Obsessions. I used to really like this for the cool toned eyeshadows, but now I feel like I have enough cool toned eyeshadows that I can let this one go, so I'm going to be passing this one along. I have the Nomad and Berlin Underground palette. This is a really cool like smoky grunge palette, which I picked up through Mercari unused. I really like that you have some kind of like grungy greens, you have these more olivey tones, you have some bronzy shades, you have a nice black. I think it's a really great palette. This purple is like a really like unsung hero kind of shade, so definitely will be keeping that one. I love the formula from Nomad Cosmetics. It's very good. We have the Glam Light Pie palette, which I keep in its little box here. Do I need to... I guess this one might go better in the pinky purple. Whatever, we'll talk about it here. This might go a little better in the pinky purple palette collection, but I already have a ton of palettes to talk about in that video, so we'll talk about it here. I do think this is really pretty. Another gift from my aunt. Absolutely a beautiful collection of colors. This peach color is so pretty, and so is Nutty Pecan. I really enjoy using this palette, so I will definitely be hanging on to this one. Plus the packaging, oh my gosh, 10 out of 10. I have the BH Cosmetics Solar Flare palette, which I picked up from TJ Maxx for like $8, and it looks like this. Originally I was kind of like, why did I pick this up? But the shades are actually really pretty, and you've got some cool duochrome type shades in here. You've got some really pretty like dark shades in here, so I definitely want to keep it and get, you know, trying a little bit more out of these and see what I can really do with this palette. But I think it is very pretty, and I love the formula for these baked palettes from BH. This Lorac Pro Chocolate Box palette, I think it's pretty, but I also think it's very big, and I'm not sure that it's anything like super unique to my collection. You have kind of these like blended up shadows here, which are a little bit interesting, but I just don't think that those two shadows are interesting enough to make me keep the whole palette, so I think I'll be letting go of this one as well. Another Nomad palette, which is the Cartagena Magica palette, and it looks like this. Absolutely beautiful warm toned color story. I love this like orangey kind of almost iridescent orange. I love this yellow almost iridescent type shade. I think it looks really pretty with the other colors in this color story, so I'll definitely be keeping that. And then this is the Nubian 2 by Juvia's. Very pretty palette. It's definitely got some deep kind of like grungy shades. Here we go. Some deep grungy shades. I love this kind of aubergine purple in here. I love this kind of metallic purple. This green is absolutely stunning on the eyes. This brown, same thing. So I'll definitely be hanging on to that one. And then I've got the Abh Sultry Palette, another really beautiful palette. This is more of like a cool toned color story, but I tend to keep it down with my neutral palettes just because it is so neutral. But it is really pretty, and it's definitely not going anywhere. I have two of these Lorac Unzipped palettes, so let me pull them out both at the same time. I have Lorac Gold, which looks like that, and the original Lorac, which is a little bit more of a rose toned. These are both really pretty, very similar color stories, but this one's definitely a little bit more rosy. These shades are at least 6 years old, but still going so strong, like hello. So I will definitely be hanging on to these. I think the Lorac formula is fantastic. Underrated, but fantastic. I have this little palette from e.l.f., which is the Matte for Matte 2, and I tend to take this on vacation a lot because I feel like it gives me all the matte colors that I could possibly need. I haven't taken it with some of the topper palettes that I have, but I think that would be a really fun idea to try, so I'm going to hang on to this one, and maybe at some point I'll do a video like that. I'm not sure, but I'm definitely going to hang on to that. I have a couple little Cutie palettes from Nabla. So I have this analog palette, which was just recently in the Trend Mood box, and the Coral Cutie palette, which looks like this. So I'm going to be hanging on to both of these. I think these are really pretty palettes, and I love the color stories, and I love how different they are. So hanging on to both of those. I have the Colourpop Lemoncello palette, probably arguably one of my favorite neutral palettes of all time. I think the color story is very pretty. You definitely get the pop of blue effect, but I love the green and the yellow that are included in here too, because then it doesn't feel like just a truly neutral palette. But very pretty colors. This Fly Girl shade is stunning, so definitely will keep that one. I have the Cute AF palette, which is, you know, a nice bright vibrant color story. One of the first pressed palettes that Colourpop ever did. Really enjoy this. I think I might be able to pop some of these out and use these to kind of fill in some of the glitters in some of my other palettes, so I may start breaking this one down a little bit so that I can use so I can get all the pressed glitters out of my other Colourpop palettes. The BH Zodiac Love Signs palette. This was another TJ Maxx find, and it was $8, which is an awesome price for such a great palette. I think this is a really cool color story. I love the inclusion of these like bluey purple shades, and then you've got a ton of like pinks and oranges. This Virgo shade is so like creamy and pretty. Oh my gosh, I love this palette so much. I haven't gotten a chance to use it to make looks yet, but I really love the color story of it, so I definitely want to keep it around so that I can work on getting some color stories or some looks put together with this one. And the packaging, like, that's adorable. The other big palettes that I have down in my neutrals section would be the Natural Lust from Too Faced, another really pretty palette. Definitely some warm tones, but actually probably more like straight neutrals and cool tones. But I think this palette is really pretty. I love these kind of like icy pinky shades that they have here. I love the inclusion of the black, so you can actually go all the way from white to black. I love kind of the rosy shades here. So very great color story. I really enjoy this one, so definitely keeping it. Plus the packaging, oh my gosh, gorgeous. And I have the original Morphe and Jaclyn Hill palette, which looks like this. I have not used this in quite some time, but I feel like I need to. I think the last time I picked this palette up, I was still completely afraid of color, and so I had never even tried any of these colorful shades down in the bottom. So I definitely need to start playing with this and use some of these shades on the bottom here and some of these colorful shades and make some pretty looks out of those. And then last but not least is the Salt and Pepper Hot Cool Ambitious palette. I have a video up on my channel with this palette. It's just a favorite of mine. I love the sort of like fluid nature of these shimmers. They're really, really pretty. The highlighter is very pretty. The mattes blend out beautifully, so I'm definitely going to be keeping this one as well. And with that said, I think that is everything for the neutral palettes portion of my makeup collection. I did declutter, I think, about 4 palettes, which, you know, honestly, I wasn't expecting to declutter any palettes, so I think that's a step in the right direction for me. Don't forget to stick around, check out the other videos that are going to be coming, documenting the other portions of my eyeshadow palette collection, since it is rather sizable. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe before you go, and I will catch you in my next video. Bye!